Okay, so on to the units in the army that I don't think are really worth taking. This includes the ones that I consider to be complete and utter garbage that shouldn't even be in the Codex in its current form. Starting with the homunculi. 25 points apiece, they're not bad. And you can get up to 3 of them with a single HQ choice, so you can kind of use them as squad commanders. They could be kind of good. The problem is that they're restricted to the homunculi-only weapons. And the homunculi-only weapons, there's only 3 of them. They're independent characters that can join squads, but because they're restricted to only those 3 weapons, they're really not that useful. The 3 weapons are basically a wounding on 2+ poison weapon that gets +1 attack, or +2 attacks or something like that, which would be kind of nice, except that every squad leader can get poison weapons, and they'd get like 1 less attack than the homunculi do. So it's pointless. Not to mention that the homunculi can be individually targeted in close combat, which just kind of makes it pointless and stupid. They also have the Stinger, which has all these crazy rules, can be okay, can kill some Space Marines if you're really lucky. There's also a Flamer weapon. It's basically a Flamer with a random AP, which to me is just way too unreliable. They're cool ideas, but they're, in my opinion, too gimmicky and not really useful. So the homunculi could be really good, I think they'd be really, really good if they were upgrades for squads so they couldn't be targeted, or at the very least, if they had more weapon options that were better. The grotesques, a lot of things, a lot of people don't realize this, but a real large portion of the rules and the universal rules and rules for different war gear, rules for different parts of combat, all that kind of stuff were created in the Eldar and Dark Eldar codexes of 3rd edition and 2nd edition. One of them is Feel No Pain. That was invented with the grotesques. Feel No Pain back then, when the grotesques came up with it for the grotesques, meant that the grotesques have 2 wounds apiece, and it said that they only take a wound if it's a weapon strong enough to inflict instant death. Because if you're shooting at them with bolters or something, it might wound them, but they're not going to care. They're going to keep moving, and it's not even going to affect them. So what that meant was only strength 6 and higher weapons could even hurt the grotesques outside of close combat. In close combat, they took wounds as normal. So they also had a thing called Terrifying Opponent, which means things have to take leadership tests against them to do combat, otherwise fall back. But they also have Stupid, so unless you have like a homunculi or an archon or something with them, they pretty much they have to take leadership tests every turn in order to do something, and they have leadership 5. So the grotesques they're a pretty cool unit. Strength 4, 2 wounds, the Feel No Pain rule, 2 attacks. They're not bad, but in my opinion, there's other things that do just as well or better for less points. So I would like to see the grotesques kept in the new codex, although vastly changed. I would like to see them with the new Feel No Pain rule. Maybe only 1 wound. I don't think 2 wounds is necessary for them. I like the strength 4. I like the two attacks in that. Some new special rules I think would be cool. Just a revamp with them. The mandrakes have another thing that I consider to be just a gimmicky special rule, where you place 3 individual models out in your deployment zone, and you move them up during the first 3 turns, and by the end of the 3rd turn you have to reveal where the squad actually is, which could be at any of those 3 points. You don't have to pick which model is going to represent where the squad is until you actually reveal them, which is cool, except like you can't run in the shooting phase. They can't be shot at, but I mean the most you're going to get is 18 inches, and then you reveal them, and then they're just a warrior with 2 close combat weapons. So, and they're almost twice the points of a warrior. I just don't think they're worth it. I don't think it really does any good. Next up are the Warp Beasts. Now I do have 3 of these, and though I use them occasionally, it's just every time I use them they just completely and utterly biff. They're really, in my opinion, they're really inexpensive for what they have the potential to do. They have 3 attacks apiece at initiative 5. And strength 4, I think, is the most important part of that. So a squad of 5 of these things, which is unfortunately the maximum size, I would like to see that increased. 5 of them charging would get 20 attacks, plus the Beastmaster. The big downside is they have leadership 3, and with the new wound allocation rules, if the Beastmaster dies, which is much more likely to happen, then they move towards the closest unit and assault it, which most of the time is your unit, which just sucks. I think it's a cool rule, but it's not very. I mean, it makes them really useless. They have a 6+ armor save, which also makes them suck. So in general, I would like to see upgrades with a lot of these units to make them worth taking. Reaver jet bikes, in my opinion, are probably the most useful unit out of this list. The Eldar jet bikes invented the rule for turbo boosting or whatever, I believe it was. The Dark Eldar jet bikes expanded on that rule and said they count as Eldar jet bikes, except that they can move 6 inches in the assault phase, even if they don't assault. They came up with that for the Dark Eldar jet bikes, which is now universal for jet bikes. I don't know. Right now, the point cost is really high. That's probably going to drop, as we've seen in all of the previous codexes. All of the Eldar jet bikes dropped. The Shiny Spears dropped. All the Space Marine bike point cost dropped. So we're probably going to see a drop in points in the jet bikes, which will make them a whole lot more useful. But to me, they have splinter rifles on them. It's not even a twin-link splinter rifle. It's just garbage. The Eldar ones at least have a twin-linked shuriken catapult, which still is kind of garbage, but it's strength 4 and it's 2 shots, and it's twin-linked. So just a single splinter rifle to me is, you might as well not even give them a weapon. In close combat, they're not even that good because they only have 1 close combat weapon. They're only getting 2 attacks on the charge, 1 attack each turn after that. Their only really redeeming quality is that they're jet bikes. They can take 2 assault weapons, and they have a 4+ save. It's basically a witch on a jet bike. The jet bike grants them +1 toughness, which is really good, and they're crazy, so they have +1 strength. So they're okay. They have so much potential. Strength, toughness 4, 4+ save. They need more attacks. They need, in my opinion, at the very least, twin-link splinter rifles, and an upgrade of at least like 1 in every 3 or 1 in every 5 to a splinter cannon or something like that, which they're just completely lacking right now. So